me, Tara Strong, aka Miss Minutes, for Bama Geeks. I hope you're ready to watch, and if you don't, I will have to prune you. Stay on your sacred timeline.
And a wonderful Sunday evening to you all. We hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining us here on the live stream. We are the Bama Geeks -1. Kevin is a little bit, I don't know if he's tired, under the weather, but he wasn't feeling the best in the world tonight. So hopefully we'll grab him again in just a couple of weeks when we're back. But joining us tonight, by the way, I'm Brock, and that's Bo, and my wife Jessica down there. We put her in the corner tonight.
Yeah.
You know, because we got this guy right here, Steve Clark.
Special guest up top there.
The executive director. Yeah, man. The executive director of backtothefuture.com. Very well connected to the world of Back to the Future. And this Thursday will be the 40th anniversary of the release date, July 3rd, 1985. And, you know, we're like, okay, we can't get Bob Zemeckis or Bob Gale. So we'll get the guy who knows third most about Back to the Future to join us.
Yeah, this is our degrees of separation here.
Yeah, there it is. Thank you so much for being here, Steve.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be on again. I can't believe it's been 3 years since we last did this.
I know.
I know.
That's what Brock was saying. I didn't realize it either. It'd been that long.
Because you and I talk often, but yeah, we haven't had you on the show in a while. So we appreciate you coming back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're going to talk all things Back to the Future tonight, what it means to us and Steve's involvement. And if you're in the chat, please feel free to join us.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts on Back to the Future, how it's impacted you, maybe some fun memories that you've got over the past 40 years of this wonderful franchise. Before we get started, though, I see a lot of new people joining us tonight.
Welcome.
Thank
for joining
you for
us.
that. So if you want to know more about our podcast, all you have to do is go to bamageeks.com. That's our website where you can find all the audio, all the video, you name it, it's there. You can catch up on everything everywhere on social media at Bama Geeks. And if you're on the old Facebook there, then you can join us on the Bama Geeks front porch. Just ask to join that private group. We'll let you in. We always have a good time and chatting there. And also, I just want to give a big shout out to our top members. These are our paid supporters who have been with us for the entire time that we've been part of the podcast. Jamie and Mike and Darnay and Jack. Thank you guys so much, as always, for your kind support.
Yes.
But let's not dilly-dally. We got a lot of people here, and I know they're not here for us. They're here for Steve. So they're here about one of the greatest film franchises in cinematic history. So for those of you who are not familiar with Steve, why don't you introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background? What's your story?
Well, this is actually year 33 for me. So I've been at this a very long time, just like you, and I'm an Alabama boy. I just kind of fell my way into this back in 1992. I had been a fan since the very first weekend. So this Saturday will mark 40 years since I saw the film for the first time. I saw it on July the 5th. My now wife was my soon-to-be fiance, and we saw it that weekend, and then got engaged just a few days later at a Rick Springfield concert.
Oh man, that's
Birmingham, Alabama. And so
that's complete 80s right there.
Oh,
I
am an 80s boy. So, but yeah, just saw the movie a couple of times in theaters, and really enjoyed it, and wasn't. We were big Michael J. Fox fans. We watched Family Ties every week, and we were both in college at the time, and enjoyed the movie. Really was one of those blockbusters that we both enjoyed. I'm one who usually enjoys the blockbusters more than my wife, but it was one of those that she liked Michael J. Fox. I liked Michael J. Fox, and just didn't know much about the movie. Went in and saw it, and went and saw it again. But it wasn't until the movie came out on home video the very next year. Back in those days, movies came out on home video, 10 to 12 months later. And so, does everybody remember Starlog magazine?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
So Starlog magazine, I don't know if this will show up on screen. Yeah, there we go.
There it goes. Yeah.
So this was the issue that I found in my local Bookland bookstore.
Wow, that's a throwback.
I never had a subscription to it or anything. I just, picked it up whenever something kind of caught my eye, and saw that it had an article about Back to the Future, which was about to come out on home video. And so I kind of thumbed through it, and it was written by a guy who used to work for Disney. He was an Imagineer. He is now passed on. His name was Bruce Gordon. And he had written several books for Disney and everything, but he had written this article about Back to the Future, and it was just a 3-page article, and it was entitled "The Other Marty McFly" with a question mark. And it kind of intrigued me, and I kind of scanned it and skimmed through it, and read something about Lone Pine Mall, and I thought, I didn't catch that in the movie. And so I had to skim through it, and there were several other things that he wrote about, and I thought, I've got to buy this. And so I took it home, and Back to the Future had just come out on home video, I think in July of '86. And so, no, May of '86. The magazine was July of '86. So it come out a couple months earlier. So immediately went, rented the VHS. Didn't have a laser disc player. Didn't have any high tech way. But so just went through his article and did a lot of freeze framing and frame by frame by frame, and caught a lot of things in the article, and it just kind of really blew my mind. And I thought, wow, whoever wrote this film, wrote the screenplay for this, really put a lot of details in it that you really don't catch on the first viewing. And it may be only, second, third, or 10th viewing that you catch some of these things. And so I was, I spent a lot of time that summer in '86, kind of trying to read everything I could about it, but then kind of forgot about it until 1989 when Part 2 came out. And I was all in, buddy. My wife and I, and a buddy from went to church with us at the time in Huntsville, we all went to the first showing that November 22nd, and I was all in. And so I had already been trying to catch up on Starlog and anything else. Of course, back in those days, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have Google. We didn't have email. We didn't have any of this stuff. And so the only way you knew ahead of time what was coming out was you either bought Starlog magazine, or you watched the precursor to E! News Daily, which was Movie Time, which was Movie Time showed nothing but 24/7 movie trailers and had some behind the scene things. And so I watched a lot of Movie Time and everything I could find in print.
Yeah.
And it was soon after that, the job that I had out on the Arsenal, where the Arsenal is in Huntsville, Alabama. I had a job out there where I had access to what was really the precursor to the internet. Had a CompuServe account and could go on CompuServe and find these bulletin boards.
Oh, wow.
And I found several people that, lo and behold, I'm still friends with on Facebook today that back in 1989 I encountered, and we were discussing all these theories and aspects of Back to the Future Part 2, and we couldn't wait for the next 6 months to get here in May of '90 for part 3 to wrap it all up. And so, what were our theories were going to happen in the conclusion, and was there going to be a part 4, and just a lot of those kinds of discussions. So I was really a Back to the Future geek from the very beginning. But it really wasn't until I blame my wife for this. So for our 5th wedding anniversary, she she set up a vacation for us to go to Universal Studios Florida. And this was just about 8 months after Back to the Future the ride had opened, and she knew that I was chomping at the bit to go to Orlando and go check out this new Back to the Future ride that I've been hearing about and seeing on Movie Time and all these different movie shows that I was following at the time. And so I fully blame her for it, because once I got to Orlando, there was no turning back. I was all in. I rode it as many times as I could that trip. Of course, back in those days, it was fresh, and you had to stand in line 2 or 3 hours to get on it, so you could really only ride it maybe 3 times in a day.
Yeah.
But, so I came back from that trip completely all in. Back to the Future. This is my jam. And so I spent the better part of the spring and summer of 1992 cold calling Universal Studios, because I was determined to get me a VHS copy of the ride footage. I'm very persistent, and I made a lot of calls, and I get transferred to this department and this department. I hit a lot of brick walls. And then one day I got transferred to the office at Universal Studios Hollywood of Bob Gale. And Bob was still working on the Back to the Future animated series, the second season of that. And he still had an office on the back lot at Universal. And one day he picked up. And, I apologized to him. I said, I'm sure you wish you had missed that phone call. So his assistant told me about this brand new unofficial Back to the Future fan club. I don't know if you remember, there was an official fan club that was in Starlog magazine, advertised in Starlog magazine, that Lucasfilm actually put out. And it was just called Back to the Future Fan Club. I thought I may have an issue laying around here somewhere, but I don't see it. But it only lasted 4 issues. It was really designed to encapsulate the 2 sequels and the opening of the ride and the animated series, which all 4 of those things happened in a 2-year period. About a 2-year period. But it was really, designed to kind of advertise those. Again, this is before the internet, and so I spent a lot of time early on trying, finding out everything I could find out. But that magazine ended, and there was a comic book series that had come along, and there was somebody in there suggested, hey, somebody needs to start a fan club. And I thought, I guess I could do that. And I didn't know anything about it. And but anyway, Bob's assistant said, well, we've got a gentleman who lives here in Southern California who just started an unofficial fan club. Y'all are pretty alike in your determination. Let me give you his name and number. And so I reached out to him, and he was already 2 issues in and putting out this little newsletter. He used a typewriter, and me being the IT guy, I knew of a better way to do it, and he put me on it. So starting with the third issue, I started doing all the publishing for this. And we changed the name from, I think it was just called the Back to the Future Fan Club. Very original, but I changed the title to the Hill Valley Telegraph, which was the name of the newspaper and the films. And so from issue 4 through issue 21 that I published from here in Alabama, at the peak of it, I think we had about 500 print subscribers, which was not bad for
that's good. Yeah.
Not bad for an unofficial thing that didn't have any studio support. We interviewed all of them. Didn't ever interview Chris. Back in those days, Chris didn't do any interviews. He didn't do print interviews. He didn't do television interviews at all. He was very, very bashful. But we interviewed Michael J. Fox right after Spin City had started, and Leah Thompson, Tom Wilson, interviewed a lot of the cast and some of the creative folks too, Bob and Neil Canton and several others, some people who were involved with the animated series. And so it was just kind of this thing that I did. And towards the end of it, well, the internet suddenly became a big thing. And so I had an AOL account, I think around 1991, but probably around 1995, I got my first real taste of a web page. I self-taught myself how to do a web page, and there was a company in Huntsville, of all places, called Traveler Information Systems or something like that. And I like the name Traveler. And so I registered a web page. My email address was time@traveler.com. And I just thought
very appropriate.
Kind of geeky thing. But, back in those days, you could have that little tilde and a web page name that kind of took you from their host to your web page. And so for about a year and a half, maybe close to 2 years, I ran a web page at the same time as this newsprint thing that we were doing. And it just got to the point where the news I was printing up to my subscribers was 2 and 3 months old by the time I could get it in their hands. And I said, let's abandon this thing and let's just go full force with a web page. So in January of 97, I registered the bttf.com domain. And I still own that domain to this day. But I originally registered it because even though backtothefuture.com was available, I was kind of fearful that Universal would come and get it one day. Yeah. And so I was just this, this guy in Alabama did this on the side, and I didn't want any trouble, so I did not register it. And it was years later that I acquired it from somebody. I think in 2013 I acquired it, and it's been a long journey. If you got any questions, just jump in here anytime.
But 40 years.
Yeah. But it's been one of those journeys that it was just being at the right place at the right time and having a certain set of skills, a little bit of publishing experience, and learning how to do a web page back in the mid 90s, and then doing a full domain, and then doing a web store. And I mean, it just has just grown into this massive thing. And so, here in 2025, here we are at the 40th anniversary, and I've been at this a third of a century now.
Wow.
That is a little scary. But yeah, I mean, it's been a blessing. I've enjoyed it. I've just become the Back to the Future guy, and I've met a lot of interesting people over the years. Had a lot of fun getting to know a lot of the cast members, meeting them, getting intimately friendly with a lot of the friend, cast members and crew that I've just become really close friends with several of them, and that's been very gratifying after all these years of time and effort putting into it, and
Of course.
knowing at the end of the day that I've got some really close friends in Hollywood that reach out to me, and I can reach out to them anytime, and see along on the road on some of these shows and the journey along this way. But it's been a long journey, but it's been a lot of fun. Very been blessed to do this for so long.
That's awesome. Yeah. But before we continue on, we've got a ton of people watching on X, and we thank you for, thank you guys for being here. I've noticed that you're not able to leave comments on the video on X. So if you've got any questions for Steve, you want to hear any more, if
you can do, you want to say you can do stuff on X. You've got to make it like where it's its own dedicated window. It's weird. You got to click on the video because like I'm right now, I've got it pulled up, and like I said,
okay. Right. I was going to say, if you go to youtube.com/@BamaGeeks. Yeah. Bo just got it. Okay. All right. Well, apparently you can, but if you're not able to, because I'm not, granted,
I'll post it here on the chat here too. Yeah.
Okay.
While you're talking here.
Yeah. You can go over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com. Bo just put up the link in the chat. So are we able to show that? Yeah. Yeah, just type all that in. Just go to youtube.com/@BamaGeeks if you want a little bit easier way to get your comments.
Well, that's to this video if you still want to continue here.
Yeah. But if you got any questions for Steve, that's where you can do that. So so Steve, I first met you on bttf.com. Golly, now it's been 27 years.
Wow.
I believe it was 98 or 99 when that
was in the early days.
Yeah. And I made my first purchase on your site. I believe it was those little bitty Texaco.
Oh, the micro machines.
Yeah, the little micro machines.
Yeah.
And then I emailed you, and you and I started having that conversation. We've just been talking ever since.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you for that support.
Yeah, always. I mean, this album right here, the musical album.
Let me apologize to Jessica right now that I apologize that I turned him onto this so many years ago. But.
Oh no, I am just as huge of a fan of the franchise as Brock is. So no apologies necessary.
But yeah, I have purchased quite a bit. Like I said, the musical album back here.
Oh yeah.
Was one of the things. I think the most recent thing I got from you was the car racing set between Kit and the DeLorean.
Oh yeah.
The Skeletrix.
Nice. Skeletrix put those out a few years ago.
Yeah, so I highly encourage you guys to go to backtothefuture.com and check everything there, and go to the store and support Steve. And I think I lost my own question there. It's called getting older. We're used to this, right?
It is. It doesn't get any better, my friend.
So let's talk Back to the Future. I was not one of the ones who saw it originally in the theater, regretfully. Okay. I saw it when it first came out on video cassette, but as soon as I saw it on VHS, I was hooked. What? Boy, I'm putting on a good show for all these people watching now. So you called and you got a hold of Bob and Bob Gale, and how has that relationship flourished over the years?
Oh, it's been great. I can't do what I do without Bob Gale's full support. He's been a great friend. Just we have worked on so many projects together. He confides in me. There's a lot of stuff, planned for the 40th anniversary that I can't talk about yet, but
not part 4
yet. But Bob, he has been full support from day one of doing the newsletters, from doing the website, from changing it from bttf.com to backtothefuture.com. he's, he and I've been, in together on working on several projects. I happen to have this. He and I worked on this Lego in, I think, 2013.
Mm-hmm.
The first Lego DeLorean. We worked on that one together, and I wrote a lot of the instructional manual on that one, and
nice.
We did a lot of authentication, making sure everything's correct, and there was a few things we found that were wrong and pointed those out. And so it's working on stuff like that I really, really enjoy. I've worked on a lot of the merchandise aspect for about 24 years now. It really started with the Sunstar DeLorean, the 1/18 scale that came out in 2001. That was the very first one I ever worked on. And then I worked on the 1/24 scale, the Welly that came out, die-cast. It was a set of 3 cars individually, and then later combined in one box. And so I wrote the packaging, the copyright on the back of the packaging for all of those. And a graphics guy that I've worked with for about 25 years now, he and he did all the grunt work. I said, I like it. I like the logo here, and let's do this, and let's lay it out this way. And so it's a lot of fun to actually walk into a toy store and see something that you actually worked on.
Yeah.
You see it from start to finish, concept to finish. And so that's quite gratifying. And nothing irks me more for something to show up on shelves that and there's been a few that the companies have put stuff out and it was not anywhere close to being accurate. And misspellings. I mean, I remember one of them, the Corgi has actually reissued their DeLorean a couple of years ago, but it came out around the time that the Sunstars did, and I did not have any involvement with it, but they misspelled the word Marty with M-A-R-T-I.
Wow.
It was all over the packaging.
Oh,
and so there's just a lot of things like that I want everything to be the best it can be. And so so much merchandise now. I mean, there's a lot still yet to come out, and there's a lot of them that I'm not even privy to that are in the works. But and the 35th anniversary just 5 years ago, there was more stuff that came out in 2020 combined that had more than anything previously in the previous 35 years, all combined in 1 year. It was massive. There was so much stuff that came out. And so, Funko put out a lot of stuff. Mattel, there were just so many companies that put stuff out, and there's a lot of things coming. Funko's already got some stuff that has just started to come out, and a few more that haven't quite come out yet. And they've announced that we're taking pre-orders for. But I've got one of the Funkos right here.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see this big bad boy. I don't know if it's
no.
Now we can't see anything. See,
let me see if I can do the back of it.
It still blends in.
All right. No. I'll just have to describe it to you.
I see it. It's
called the Deluxe Pop Moment, and it's the hoverboard chase from part 2.
Nice.
And it has Marty and Griff and Data, Whitey, and Spike all on hoverboards and the straps and everything. And it's like a 4.5 pound thing, and it's actually in a plexiglass case and everything. So it's a really nice piece. So that just came out on Funko's website. I haven't, my distributor doesn't have them yet, but Funko released it. They always put their stuff out a few weeks or kind of a couple of months before the retail gets them, and everybody says, how come you haven't shipped mine yet? Well, because they haven't shipped them to me. But so there's a lot of stuff coming out. There's a really cool piece that I'm eager to get my hands on. that looks like it's only coming out in Japan, but there's a company that's about to put out the Part 3 train for the first time.
Oh no!
You've not seen that on. Go look it up on. Go look on my feed. I retweeted it several days ago, maybe a week or so ago. But it's got like 56 LEDs. It comes with figures and everything. It's massive. I have no idea what it's going to cost, but I don't care.
I don't care either.
No.
I've been wanting that train since I saw the original down in Orlando. So
oh my goodness!
I couldn't get a real train, so I'll take a replica.
Well, but just go ahead and add me to your order.
He's like, you got my information. Just put me down.
Yeah.
I've not been contacted by that company. I think it's only coming out in Japan, so I probably won't be carrying it. But I would love to if it's available.
Well,
if it's going to be for U.S. markets, I'll definitely do everything I can to carry it. But,
well, if you can't, add me to your order so we can cut down on shipping costs.
There we go.
I'll go in with
I'll
you.
do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a company that I can't even pronounce. But do a search on Back to the Future Part 3 Time Train. You'll find it. It's
absolutely. I've got kind of as far as the toys and everything are concerned, I have an issue, Steve, and I hope you can give me some sort of answer on this.
Okay.
All right. I've got for Hot Toys, for people who don't know, the 1/6 scale figures. Yeah. I have Back to the Future 1 Doc and Marty and Back to the Future 3 Doc and Marty. I have a Back to the Future 2 DeLorean from Hot Toys. Are we going to get a re-release of the Back to the Future 2 Doc and Marty so I can finally pair them with the vehicle?
I seriously doubt it.
See, that's been our hunt lately.
Yeah,
is the part.
They're out there. Yeah. They came out with those figures so far in advance of the cars and sold out of the figures. I want to say that the first car came out in 2014.
Yeah, it was a while back.
And the figures came out, at least the Part 1 figures came out maybe the year before that. So
right. And the reason I have hope is because they just re-released the Part 1 figures.
They have. Okay. Well,
yeah, I've got the re-release.
I did see that. They might. I've not heard anything along those lines. They could. They might. I don't know.
Okay. Well, maybe they will.
I'll see if I can find out. It would be nice. There was a set of Part 2 figures that they did prototypes for and showed at Comic-Con in San Diego several years ago, and then they never came out. It was Doc Brown with the train shirt and khaki pants, and Marty in his inconspicuous outfit with the hat and the leather jacket and the red T-shirt. So you can find pictures online of those, and they really look nice. But Hot Toys never did produce them. So
my goodness,
they announced that they were going to, then they never did. So
they got to get on that. Goodness. Well, do you still have the Back to the Future 3 Hot Toys DeLorean?
I can get them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They are still available, but probably not much longer. I've got a reserve of them. So those things are so big, it's hard for me to stockpile them here. So I've got them as a drop ship. And so when somebody wants one, they can buy it, and I purchase it directly from the distributor at that point and have it drop shipped directly to them. It saves on postage for all of us, and I don't like, especially something that expensive, I don't like it to have all these hops and skips and jumps. I don't like it to go from the distributor to me and then from me to the customer. There's just too many bumps in the UPS truck. So we can cut out one stop, then that's very beneficial on a high priced item like that. So the Part 3 ones are still available, but I wouldn't expect them to be available, but maybe a few more months.
All right. Well, I gotta come up with a plan, because I know Jess is like that Part 2 car is already taking up a lot of space in the house. We don't need a part 3, but I do want the part 3 one.
So I got to interject. Everybody asks you probably what's your favorite movie, but this is where I always go with everyone. What is your favorite version of the DeLorean?
Favorite, probably the part 2 car.
Okay.
Most people say the part 1, but I love the flying version of it. And just I believe it or not.
Yeah.
I am not very well versed in the DeLorean itself. I've never owned a DeLorean. So everybody expects the guy from backtothefuture.com to have a DeLorean. I do not. I've never had one. I've got plenty of friends, and you know our friends in South Carolina. If I need to jump in a DeLorean, I can go. I can contact the Hollers and actually planning on having them come down to Alabama later this year. We're doing a screening of part 1 at the Shoals Theater.
Really?
December the 5th.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Okay.
We're going to do a fundraiser for the Fox Foundation.
It's on my work calendar too that I will be leaving early that day. So,
yeah. We're coming up for it.
Come on to Florence.
Yeah, we definitely are.
That's always got the theater reserved, and I've got to work out all the details with Oliver and Terry, but looks like I'm on their calendar, so so we're expecting to have them here in town again.
Yeah, awesome. That's why I'm always curious. I always like to ask because, like I said, I'm in the minority. But for mine, it's like, it's part 3, but it's the 1955 technology.
Oh yeah,
I don't know why the white walls and all the old 50s tubes on the hood. Some reason why I love that version. That's why I just sorry to get off topic, but
no, it's a slick car, and I'm good buddies with the guy who actually owns the original screen used car. It's up in just north of Boston. And
wow.
But it was at one of the shows we did, the DeLorean car show we did in Orlando. I think that was 2012. They had it on display there. They had just acquired it, and but it's been on the Discovery show that Expedition Back to the Future.
Yep.
It was 4 episodes. And so the guys that they went to their place in Boston, outside of Boston, they own that car. They own the part. They own the car that was destroyed at the end of part 3. They've put it all back together, and they own Doc Brown's Packard. They own Marty's pickup truck. They've got it all, man.
Oh, the pickup
that's
truck.
amazing.
But I've been there to their facilities and seen their vast collection, and I've sold them a few things too. So there's some of my collections up there at museum. So
that's fantastic. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember back for the 25th anniversary, you had the showing at the Shoals Theater there in Florence, and Claudia was there, and James Tolkien, and Leah was supposed to be there, but she had a prior obligation.
Yeah, it was one of those things where we had Leah locked in, and 5 days before she had to back out because she had just signed on to do the TV show Switched at Birth. Which ran several seasons, and so but the trooper that she was, she went to her husband's studio and pre-recorded answers to the questions that we had already written up to ask her at the Q&A. So she didn't have to do that, but she did that as a favor to us, and having to back out at the last minute. But and of course, and Bob Gale was there, and Michael Chaffee was there, who worked on the DeLorean and Knight Rider, since you've got both cars in that race set.
So
Mike's a great guy too. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. The only thing was that we didn't do a screening of the movie. It was, it was the film festival just had us as guests, and we had the car out front, and it was really set up for a Q&A and not a screening. But this time we're doing a screening. So.
That's great. Yeah. I remember that Friday, Bob was at the local comic book store there. That's where I got to meet him, and then saw him again later in the library there at University of North Alabama, where you had a whole bunch of the props and everything on display.
Yes. Yeah. That was a lot of fun. And you mentioned James Tolkien, who believe it or not, he just turned 93. Last week.
Oh my gosh!
Wow!
And he's still out there doing appearances.
He is.
And
He's
stuff.
out still doing shows. And
wow.
James is a sweet man. He's such a good friend. And when he came to town that time, 15 years, can you believe that's been 15 years ago?
I know.
He came to town, and the UNA Collier Library has, all of these scripts from different Alabama people that, they've got, I'm going to have a senior moment, forget their names, but George Lindsay, all his scripts are there, and several people, but they toured all the cast through that, and James said, I would like to donate my scripts to this. And it was about a year later that he sent all of his scripts from his career.
Man.
And they're in the archive at UNA's library to this day.
How about that?
Wow.
And, it was kind of a low key thing, but I was just amazed that he was willing to do that. And so, UNA's got all his movie scripts from a very vast career.
Yeah.
So I guess Top Gun is there. And,
that's what I say. Top Gun's got to be in there.
A lot of things he was in, War Games, and all these great movies from the 80s, and before that. So
I hope we can see those when we come up in December.
Yeah. I've been meaning, I work at UNA now, and I've been meaning to go over there and go check them out myself. And I just keep saying, one of these days I'm going to get over there and see James.
Well, let's make a special trip in December when we come up. We'll go over there with you. So 93 still doing shows. He's definitely not a slacker.
He is not a slacker. Man, it was funny. We had dinner the afternoon before the Q&A at the Show's Theater, and we had it at the restaurant that was next door. It's now something completely different, but it was Legend Steakhouse at the time, and that's when I learned that James likes basically rare hamburgers, and I thought, man, that can't be good for you, but back then he was in his late 70s. Well, he must be doing something. He must know something. He wanted a rare hamburger, and he wanted mustard, and he got it.
Well,
all right. So
he must be still going strong.
There's your diet tips from Principal Strickland.
raw hamburger and mustard.
Yep.
And he's 93.
93 years old. Not a slacker.
Well, Steve, I mean, Back to the Future has such an oh my gosh, just the impact not only on pop culture but society itself. I mean, everybody knows the DeLorean. Everybody knows a line from that movie. It's just so iconic. How do you see it fitting into our modern history?
Well, I mean, it's already shown itself. I mean, just in the last 5 or 6 years, we've had major films. Avengers Endgame quoted Back to the Future and spoke a lot about Back to the Future. I won't quote what they said in it, but then a lesser popular film, but it was still one that I enjoyed, was The Flash, and they heavily talked about Back to the Future and Eric Stoltz, and I mean it was pretty wild. And so every once in a while, one of these big blockbusters will either include an homage to the series, or mention the movie, or mention Marty McFly. And so I mean it's part of pop culture for here on out. And so
and Ready Player One.
Player One, absolutely. So back in 2007, I led a grassroots effort to get Back to the Future, the first movie, added to the National Film Archives, and was successful the very first year we attempted it. We did write-in campaign to the Library of Congress through the old bttf.com website. And at the time, I don't know if this is still true now, but at the time, and for several years afterwards, it was like the biggest write-in response that the Library of Congress had for any one specific film.
Wow.
And so in December, I think December 27th of 2007, Back to the Future was added to the Library of Congress's National Film Registry.
As it should be. So, I mean, there's how can you deny that? How can you doubt that has a placement there? Yeah,
absolutely. So it's it was funny. I was interviewed by somebody who was a writer for the Hollywood Reporter shortly after that, and it was funny. He said, "Well, what possessed you to do this?" And I said, "Well, earlier in the year, I had read this article. Lo and behold, it was on Hollywood Reporter of this writer who was trying to get the movie Caddyshack included in that, and he mentioned how this." And I thought, "Oh, that's how that works. I'll give that a try." Mm-hmm. And he said, "That was me." So I was being interviewed by the guy, and he said, "Man, I can't believe you read my article, took my idea, and you got it done, and I still haven't got Caddyshack added." So, and to this day, I don't think Caddyshack is still added. So, but you know, the fan base is pretty large and widespread. People who are huge fans of Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd and DeLoreans and time travel and Robert Zemeckis and Steven Spielberg and on and on and on. And then it just keeps growing. You know, in the early days, I struggled to get an audience, and it was just a very grassroots effort, starting out, like I said, with a newsletter, and then a web page, and then a website, and then the official website, and working on merch, and you know, now, you know, Back to the Future has branched out into the musical, and it's been all over the world, and you know, it's about to launch. It's been in the UK, it's been on Broadway, it's now doing a national tour. By the way, it is coming to Huntsville very soon, and here in Alabama, and it's supposed to come to Birmingham as well. I think that's early next year, but it's about to launch in Germany and Australia. Royal Caribbean's about to put it on one of their cruise ships.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. So it's crazy, man. It's all over the Japan. It's already launched in Japan. Back to the Future is huge in Japan. It always has been ever since part 3. Well, I probably since part 2, but I really wasn't aware of it until part 3 had ended, and all this stuff started showing up on eBay, and man, it's just amazing how popular the films are internationally. So, and you know, there's an escape room at Universal Orlando. I haven't been to that yet. Got to get back down there before that changes out. But
wow,
okay,
it just keeps growing, man. It's just a behemoth.
Well, Brock had the benefit of getting to see Back to the Future on Broadway when he was in New York last June, and then we will be going to see in Atlanta. We already have our tickets to go see it in Atlanta.
And we're taking my 2 kids, and I have not told Jess anything about the musical. I will not let her listen to the music. I will not let her know anything about those effects, those stage effects. I want her to see those in person.
He wants to talk about it so bad, but
it's been killing me.
Yeah. You know, it for those who think it probably, there's no way it could actually translate into a musical.
Oh, it does.
Prepare to be surprised and extremely delighted. It translates very well. There's a lot of things they had to change. I won't mention what they are, but there was several little key things that had to change that just wouldn't work on a stage.
Right.
But there's a lot of great surprises, and you know, I guess you got to see Roger Bart as Doc Brown.
I did.
Roger,
oh my goodness,
what energy!
Yeah, I hate he did not come out and sign the. I got the whole cast pretty much to sign the playbill, and he didn't come out. I was like, man, but yeah, we were just talking. We were just talking beforehand before we got live. Casey Likes, who was Marty on Broadway, actually went to high school with my daughter's college roommate, and they didn't tell me that until after I had just met him.
Oh wow!
I was next to the stage door, and I'm like, "Come on!" I could have had a connection with him, but yeah.
And thank you for the comments in the chat. Yeah. We appreciate those.
Yeah, we appreciate. Yeah, Skylar says, "Yeah, it's awesome on stage." Skylar saw it not too long ago, and Advisory 6000 there. I believe that's Mike. BTTF is the gold standard for all time travel movies, much like the Time Machine is for books. Absolutely. So, and like we said, if you got any questions for Steve, well, we got them for just a little bit longer. Hop in the chat and drop them in there. In fact, I reached out to Steve before I went back to New York last June. It was like, okay, give me some tips on getting to the theater and, you know, everything else like that. So he was very gracious with his advice. Don't be afraid to walk at night to the theater.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. That was one that I had a little apprehensive about, but of course we stayed like right across the street, the hotel we stayed at, so it wasn't very, very much of a stretch of a walk for us to go. But my wife loves New York, and she does not need an excuse to go to New York. So when the musical was there, we caught Billy Joel the night before, because that's her jam, and then we saw Back to the Future the musical the next night, and so did a lot of walking, got a lot of steps in that in a couple of days. But
it's such a fun place. We've loved all of our trips up there as well. So
yeah, we saw The Outsiders on Broadway back at the beginning of May, which was fantastic, and it's going to be coming to Atlanta too, so we're going to see it again. Yeah, that's a really good one.
So I guess if I had to ask something, so what if your interactions with the people that have involvement in the movies, the cast, the crew, any special interactions, anything that just really stands out in the time that you've had a chance to meet and be acquainted with them?
Are you tight with Crispin Glover?
No, you know, Crispin unfortunately has been one of those that has eluded me all these years. I've never met Crispin. There's a few that I have not met. Several I've been in the same room with, but I did not get a chance to meet. But Tom Wilson and I go way back. Tom, I can't say enough about Tom Wilson. He is just the utmost professional comedian. He's a good Christian man. We have spent a lot of time together over the years. Anytime I'm around Tom, my face literally hurts for days after.
Oh, I bet.
My face, I'm laughing, my cheeks just ache. I've just laughed so much. But Tom and I have spent a lot of time together, and there's one specific thing that I think would be funny to share here, that he and I were at the 20th anniversary screening in LA in 2010. And no, that's not right.
In 2005.
Thank you. I told you my math was going to mess up. 2005. So I had flown out. They were screening part one and doing a Q&A with Bob and Chris and Tom and Leah and Claudia and I think one of the sound guys. I've forgotten which one of the two it was at the time. But I had spent a lot of time with Tom before going to the screening. He took his wife and his kids, and I'd spent some time with them the day before and that afternoon before the screening and Q&A. And so I had done a lot of advertising for this screening, and it was at the ArcLight Cinemas in LA, big, very famous theater. And they ended up having to sell additional tickets because it sold out pretty quick, and they wanted so they did 2 screenings of it and did the Q&A like right between the 2 screenings. And so I was very impressed. At the Q&A, the MC asked, how many people here learned about this screening from, and at the time it was bttf.com. And I'm not kidding. You know, I'm a guy from Alabama. Over 75% of the people in the first screening for the Q&A raised their hands.
Wow.
And it blew me away that here's this guy in Alabama, a nobody, running a Back to the Future fan site. And I had influence on enough people to fill up that theater, but 75% of the people in that theater had learned about it from my website. And that just, that was mind blowing.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, I had spent a lot of time with Tom, and I sat beside him, and that was a lot of fun. It's kind of surreal to watch a movie in the theater with the cast.
Yeah.
And so Tom was sitting near me, and it was his wife and his kids down the line. Well, he got up as the credits were rolling, the house lights come up, and he got up and walked down to his wife and kissed her and kissed each one of his kids on top of the head, and then came over and kissed me on the top of the head. And then went up to the stage for the Q&A. And so that was just one of those. And he gave me his ticket. I still got his autograph on the tickets from that night. They're over here in a frame, and it was one of those
so
memories.
Sweet. He didn't want you left out, Steve.
And so he's just a great guy, and I love him to death. He's my brother in Christ. He's just, man, I can't say enough about Tom Wilson. He's just so funny in everything he does, and just immensely talented. He's a great writer. If you've never, he's actually, I've got a listing on my website. If you go to backtothefuture.com and look under the events tab, Tom's got an exhibit right now, an art exhibit that he's got some paintings involved with out.
Oh, okay.
I think it's in LA. Drawing a blank again, but his paintings he does a lot of pop culture paintings, and he is just, it's unreal how talented he is, from comedy to music. He's written a book. He's just he's got talent in so many quadrants, and he's one of Hollywood's best kept secrets, and he shouldn't. Hollywood shouldn't be keeping him a secret, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, and he's putting out some great content on YouTube right now.
I was just going to say his YouTube channel. He's been doing he's picked that up recently again. There was one that just came out, I think, yesterday.
Yeah,
and it's just him walking down the beach and just having these musings, and a lot of it's funny, and a lot of it's just great stories in his life about his family. And he put out a really good documentary a little over a year ago called Super Humbly. Man, I'm gonna kick myself on some of these things I'm forgetting. But
Humbly Super Famous.
Yeah, that's it. Famous, super humbly famous. And so it's a long watch, but man,
but it's good.
Oh, it's good.
If you can make it through that without having tears,
I was gonna say,
good luck.
Yes.
And I've actually witnessed a lot of the things he talks about at shows and different events.
Mm-hmm.
And, unfortunately, I feel semi-responsible for creating this behemoth of Back to the Future fans. And some people just don't have a filter and just don't think about the humanity of the person that is portraying that character.
Right.
And he tells a story of an actual doctor asking him Back to the Future questions with his mom on her deathbed.
Yeah.
And I thought, what?
Yeah.
How could anybody do that? And it's crazy. But yeah, Tom's he's got an art exhibit going on right now. And my web, I think I'm pulling my bandwidth down right now for the video. But yeah, it is. It's in Glendale, California.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it goes through August 10th. Yeah. So anybody wants to see some really cool art by somebody from the Back to the Future cast members, go to Glendale and go check out Tom's exhibit that he's put on. But he's done a lot of great art over the years. And
Brock, Kevin, and I share a great. We're part of the club. Tom poked fun at us because when we saw him at the local comedy club, he referred to what Kevin is he's here for these eHarmony buddies. We were
the eHarmony crew.
Yeah,
he came down. He came down and put his hands all in Kevin's hair and was rubbing and messing up Kevin's hair. That was great.
Was that at the Comedy Dome?
Yeah, at Stardome.
Stardome. Yeah. I think I may have been at that show. Of course, he did several shows that weekend.
Yeah.
So he was on Rick and Bubba that day, and I followed him. I was his handler at Rick and Bubba that day, and we went to the Comedy Dome that night. So
I can't remember. Did we do the Friday or Saturday night show? It was one of the two. I think it was.
I think we did the Saturday night.
Yeah, because you had to drive up. Yeah.
It would have been the Friday that I was at. So I didn't see the hair. Missing, so
yeah, we were right there at the very front of the stage.
Yep.
So we were easy pickings for it.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm the only one.
I'm around Tom. I'm easy picking. So I told you I saw him in Mississippi last year at a con, and my daughter-in-law had never met him. So me and my son and my wife and my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter all went to Mississippi and saw him that day, and we were standing in line, everybody standing in line to get his autograph, and he came to the booth and he looked around, started talking about it, and then he caught me about halfway back and he just dropped everything. He walked back to where I was standing and he said, "Everybody, I want to introduce you to my dad." and so he's always a lot of fun. We went to his panel discussion that afternoon, and just so much fun.
Well, maybe one day I'll get the pleasure of meeting him.
Oh, you got to meet Tom.
The only one here in this four of us that has not had the pleasure of meeting him, but I've met Leah a couple of times. Yeah. So just sweetheart. Oh my goodness. She was fantastic. She
fangirled over you, Steve. When she came to Dragon Con a few years ago, both she and Chris were there, and I had my dual photo op with them, and I turned to her, I'm like, "Hey, we got mutual friends." She's like, "Who's that?" I said, "Steve Clark." And she goes, "Oh my gosh, I love Steve." And,
well, I guess the last time I saw her and got to spend some time with her was at the Huntsville Expo a few years ago. My wife got to meet her for the first time at that show, and she came into the booth and signed a few books and everything to give out, and we got a good photograph with her in front of the Hollers DeLorean, and so it was good to see her. It's the first time she'd been to Huntsville since she was supposed to have been in Huntsville back in 2010. So, but she actually got to go out to the Space and Rocket Center and get her picture taken in front of the Space and Rocket Center, one of the rockets there late at night.
Relive her space camp memories.
Space camp.
Well, what is So, what would you say is probably the most interesting, like things you have collected or gathered over the years? What would you say is the most interesting piece of your collection?
Well, I've had a lot of pieces come and go through my hands over the
Mhm.
years. There's been a lot of lean years with the website, so there's been years where I've had to sell
Yep.
pieces of the collection to keep the site going.
Yeah.
Um, uh, one of one of the most interesting things that I know, unfortunately, no longer have. I used to own all of the continuity Polaroid photos from all three films that I
Oh,
had bought
wow.
from one of the
Wow.
property masters, and so
Yeah.
those were, the very unique photos. Had every scene written in magic marker down in the white space on the Polaroid photos, and I just had gobs of them, just stacks and stacks and stacks of them. And I had them from all three films, and they were unbelievable. A lot of it's just, if you've ever seen any continuity photos, a lot of it's just, it's the point of making sure when they leave for the day that they put everything back the way it was supposed to when they
Mhm.
left last film that shot, or if they have to
Yeah.
come back to it, refilming anything, they've got the reference photos from it. And so, but I mean, I had a few of Eric Stoltz in the Polaroids.
Oh wow.
I had
Okay.
Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox, like face down at the Lone Pine Mall after he fell down the hill, and he's
Mhm.
laying down in the grass just face down, and just Christopher Lloyd leaning back in a chair in 1955, just kind of just relaxing in the 50s chair. I mean, just so many really cool shots. But then there's a lot of them that are just like pictures of plates of food at the McFly dinner table, and so, but yeah, I sold all those years ago, and they're in the wind somewhere. I have no idea who has them anymore.
Yeah.
One collector had them, and then they passed on to somebody else, and I don't know where they're at, where their originals are anymore.
Mhm.
I've got scans of a lot of those, but so those were really interesting. I've got the very first prop that I ever bought. I still have, and it's a prototype of the 1885 Hill Valley map that was at the train station in Hill Valley,
Oh, wow.
1885.
Okay.
Well, the one that I've got is not fully aged. It's not the one, it's not the screen used one, but it was
Mhm.
one that they decided to change and go with the one that you actually see in the film. So
Okay.
mine has a dotted line across Shonash Ravine, and in the movie, it's just a blank space. I think the dotted line would not have shown up on screen very well,
Mhm.
and so they changed it out with this one that you actually see in the film, and it's fully aged and has the green and the bluish tint to it. Mine is more of a beige color, and but it's the very same scale, very same size, and I've got it hanging here in my office.
Okay.
And I bought it from somebody I guess who worked on the film. It's been so long ago,
Mhm.
back in 1990, 90 or 91 that I bought that, and it was the very first one I bought, and it's still with me. But I've had a lot of props. I had Doc Brown's Easy Sleep from part 2 that flips up and puts Jennifer to sleep. I actually had the original prop, and then I had to sell it. And so I had one of the original clock tower cables that was connected. And I know who has that still to this day, but he made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and so I sold it to him.
Yeah.
But so a lot of mine is passed on to other collectors who've got much bigger collections than I have.
Mhm.
And so a lot more knowledgeable and well versed in those props and
Okay.
costumes. I've had some costumes. I had Marlene McFly's skirt
Oh.
that Michael J. Fox wore. I don't have it anymore. I had one of Marty McFly's Clint Eastwood shirts. the pink with the tassels and everything else. I had one of those, and just a lot of things like that, but nothing. I had one of the police women's tops from part 2 that had the badge and a baton from 2015. So I had one of those. So I've had a lot of pieces here and there. I never had prop collecting's been one of these things that I was just in a small group of about 4 or 5 of us in the early days, and we were able to grab everything, and then it all of a sudden it took off, and everybody with deep pockets started getting involved, and I got pushed out real quick. So I don't, like I said, I don't have anything but the map anymore. I do have one piece that was made for the production of part 3 that was given to me by Tom Wilson after the filming that I'm not going to reveal what it was. It was so personal. It was a personal item that was given to him, and he gave it to me, and I'll never get rid of that. And so it was just a very personal piece that I'll cherish, I guess, to my grave. I don't know if I'll be buried with it, but that's up to my wife. But it was a very nice gesture that he gave me a few years ago.
Oh, that's great.
So
that
meant a lot to me to have something that was made for him as a memento for working on the films, and I have it now. So that was
that's awesome.
Very nice. So but you know, I've been involved with so many things, you know, working on different promotions. I worked on the original Nike Mag promotion for Nike back in 2011, and flew out to Universal and got to go out on the back lot, and Bob was there, and he gave a big speech. So I've got a funny story about that one too. So sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, so Nike secretly flew out all these big time reporters and photographers and everybody from all these big news media, and I was on the list. Bob got me on the list, and so I knew what we were going for. Most of the people there did not know what we were going to see. I knew exactly what we were going to see, but I didn't know what the events of the day were going to be. So this big convoy of Chevy Escalades came and picked us all up from the hotel they put us up at, and I got in, and I was in a car, the back seat. I was in the back seat of a car with 4 other people that were, you know, in the trades. And so the guy I was sitting on the row with, he said, "Well, who are you with?" And I said, "Well, I'm with the Back to the Future website. I'm here to cover this for that." And I said, "Who are you with?" He said, "Oh, I'm the entertainment editor for the LA Times." "Oh, okay. Well, we're talking big stuff here." And so, they took us out on the back lot, and there was about 19 international and domestic people. They had flown in from all over the world to cover this, because Nike was still is a pretty big deal. And this was going to be a big promotion for the Fox Foundation, and Michael was, involved, and so Bob Gale was there. They had the DeLorean out, and this was about a year before they decided to restore the DeLorean. And it was actually that moment when they had the car out on the back lot in front of the clock tower, and Bob and I were standing around talking, and he was just mortified at how bad the DeLorean, the original screen used A car, looked. It had been out on back lot for years and years and years. People picked parts off of it. It was worn. The DMC logo was gone. I mean, it was worn out. It looked really bad. And it was that moment when Bob said, "I'm going to get a team of fans together, and we're going to restore this thing." And I was standing right there when he decided to do that. And so that was great to be there at that moment, that he saw how bad it looked for himself, and he decided to do something about it. And a year later, year and a half later, the restoration team, took them about a year to restore it, but got, a lot of parts back from fans who picked them off the car on the backlot tour, and restored it back to its glory. And now it's at the Peterson Museum. But back to the thing, we after they took us from the backlot, they took us into a room where we were all around this podium, and the lights were out, and one of the guys from Nike came out to speak, and this podium rises up out of the floor, and there's this plexiglass podium, and a pair of Nike mags lit up and everything are inside this thing, and everybody's pulling out their cameras, and here's all these international reporters from all over the world with these telephoto lenses like 2 feet long. And here's me with my little camcorder taking shots, and I'm dropping stuff in the floor, and so unprofessional because I was not prepared to be there with all these bigwigs. But for a while on Nike's website, you could see me. There's all these telephoto lenses, and me with my little camera with all the reporters. It's long gone now, but so I've been involved with so many fun promotions like that, and just being like I said, for the musical and Nike, and been at different exhibits, and it's been a wild ride. I mean, never in my wildest dreams when I started this thing 33 years ago that I'd be still talking about it today, much less have been involved in everything that I've been involved with, and forged, close friendships with so many of the cast and crew. And I've been truly blessed.
Absolutely. And we're certainly blessed to know you. And thankful that you've been a friend for all these years to us, and willing to come on here and spend some time with us and discuss it. We won't keep it for too much longer, but what do you think is, I mean, it's endured for 40 years. What do you think keeps this thing going?
I don't think there's any one answer to that. I know the answer that Bob Gale gives. He says it's because all of the fans who were teenagers and big movie fans in the 80s and through the 90s, all of them have all become parents now, and they've introduced it to their kids. And now it's starting, we're at 40 years now. Now some of us have got grandkids we're turning it on to. So I'm planning on taking my granddaughter to the musical in Huntsville here in a couple of months to let her see it for the first time. So it's just, generations, it's intergenerational. I mean, the people who loved it back in the 80s because they grew up in the 50s. Well, those of us who grew up in the 80s love it so much and have spread it on to our kids and now our grandkids, and it just becomes this revolving door that it's use the term timeless, but it is timeless. Right. It just really, it's one of those stories that and I've talked to so many people who say, well, anytime it's on TV, whether it's on TBS or TNT or AMC, I walk through and go, well, I guess my afternoon shot now. I'm watching Back to the Future. Oh, part 2's on afterwards. Well, I'm not gonna be able to study for my final exam tonight. And so, it just becomes this thing that you get entranced in, and it just continues to spawn new fans every year. And there was video games and comic books and theme park attractions, and there's just so much to it that it has spread, and it also has such integrity that Bob and Bob have always sworn that there will never be a remake, a sequel, a redo,
a part 4.
I mean, it's just it's not going to happen. And so they have stuck to it all these years. And I think people and most fans in Hollywood, people in Hollywood also respect them for that. And it continues to entertain audiences year after year after year. And so for me, it's just it's timeless. It's, I kind of look at it through different lenses than everybody else's because it's just what I've done for all this time.
Yeah.
And so, I can watch it and watch the films, and there are certain moments in the films where I've heard stories from Bob, I've heard stories from Tom, I've heard stories from Claudia, these things that happen behind the scenes that I kind of chuckle about because I know the stories behind certain scenes. And
right.
The year after we did the part one screening, the 20th anniversary screening in LA, the year after we did a part 2 and part 3 screening in LA for I guess it was 2006, and we called it the double back screening. And so
it's appropriate.
Bob Gale was there, and Chris Lloyd and Neil Canton was there. And so I knew several stories that Tom had told specifically about part 3, because part 3 is his favorite, and it's a lot of the cast's favorite. They love being able to ride, horses and pretend to be cowboys, and it's, roping horses and all that, and learning that skill. And they've talked about it so many times, but I've heard so many stories. And so at that screening, Chris Lloyd actually sat in the audience to watch parts 2 and 3. So he watched part 2 with the audience, and then did the Q&A, and then came back into the audience and watched part 3. And so I sat there, and he was one row right behind me over my left shoulder. And so this particular scene came up in part 3 that I knew a story about, and I heard him chuckling. And the part that really wasn't funny, and I thought, I know exactly, because it was he and Tom had cut up in a scene, and I just knew that he was thinking about that particular scene.
Wow.
And the stories behind it with Tom Wilson. And so it's stuff like that I kind of get to experience at a different angle.
Yeah.
And seeing things through a different lens. But that is quite gratifying, and just a lot of fun to be a part of.
That's awesome. And speaking of the next generation, our friend Skylar said, he said, I showed as a reward in my ag mechanics class, I justified the FFA emblem on the Hill Valley sign.
That's great. I don't, just for me, I guess, there's just a fascination with time travel. And also when you were just mentioning, when a lot of people saw it first in the 80s, there were people that grew up in the 50s. So it was kind of like that nostalgia for them to go back and, see that period of time. And then you mentioned, here we are, those of us that were kids or younger when we saw it in the 80s. For us just to go back to revisit it, it's just a special part of us growing up, of that movie. It's nostalgia for us for that movie. And even the inspiration even for the movie in the first place was, it would be kind of interesting to be able to go back in time to see what your parents were like as teenagers, is what the kind of lives they were living. And you didn't, they weren't your parents then. So what brought them together, what tied everything together to create for them to meet, and now they're married and they have kids and their lives have come to this point. But to go back and see it at a point that you weren't familiar with, that's fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
And being able to just I have a machine that can take me anywhere I want to go to and experience something that I've only read about or heard about. But it I think that's one thing that kind of makes it so endearing to a lot of us.
Totally agree with you. I mean, time travel, I've always enjoyed time travel movies. And I think the first one that really grabbed my attention was the first Terminator movie. These kind of the year before in 84 just kind of blew my mind. And I came back from that trying to make logic of, okay, Kyle Reese, and just, going through all that, and just kind of blew my mind. But then Back to the Future just did it, in my opinion, so much better, and continued to do it better. And everything else, you see memes on Facebook and Twitter and say, name a time travel movie that's not called Back to the Future. And but there's been a lot of really good movies, and I enjoy. One of the things I enjoyed about the Flash movie was him getting to meet himself, and basically be with himself throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And there was a Jeff Daniels movie that came on TV. It was called Disaster in Time, and I think they renamed it for home video. If you ever get a chance to look that up, it came out around the same time that Part 2 was in theaters.
Oh, okay.
But Jeff Daniels did this great made-for-TV movie where they could. It was this people from the future had come back in time to witness disasters. Natural disasters like the Hindenburg blowing up and all and all these things, and Jeff Daniels figures it out, and the way they traveled through time, and I'm going to give a big spoiler for this, but was they had a passport that they could stamp a date on it, and they could somehow walk through a door and they end up back in time. And so it was really cool.
Wow.
Really done well, and he got to help himself earlier in the film, which I just really loved, going back the way Part 2 did, and having Doc Brown and Marty seeing each other themselves from earlier in the films. And so if you get a chance to look that one up, it
says on IMDb it's got Grand Tour Disaster in Time, but also
that's it.
And Timescape.
They've named it several times, but when it aired on TV, it was called Disaster in Time, and I think they didn't like that. So I think I've got a DVD version of it somewhere that's completely named one of those other two titles.
Timescape. Yeah, Timescape's what has is for the artwork here. Yeah.
Gotcha. It's really good.
There's always that other tricky thing in all this time travel about one little thing that you can do can just completely alter the events, that are supposed to or set to take place, or the events that you knew them as. So it's, like I said, it's just endearing, and it's a comfort. And we find ourselves in the same way. If we see it on TV, we'll just stop and we'll just leave it there because, I agree. You just got to stop and leave it. I can't watch anything else. It's on TV. I'm just going to have it on.
I find it hard to believe that we are now 10 years past.
When
they went to the
future. Right.
That was a wild time. I was actually in LA for 2015 at that date, and I actually got to see Part 2 in a theater with the time timed up and perfectly. So when they're in the DeLorean, they look on the time circuits and it says October 21st, 2015 at 4:27 p.m. It was 4:27.
That's nice.
And everybody's holding up their cell phones and everything.
And not a flying car in sight.
Yeah, no flying cars.
That was a lot of fun. And we actually took over a little town, and I'm going to draw a blank on the name of the town that was outside of LA, that kind of looked a little bit like Hill Valley. And we had DeLoreans and vendor booths and screenings and everything. And it was a lot of fun. And that was quite an experience to be there for 2015.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I finally got to go I took that opportunity to go to some of the filming sites too. So I finally got to go to La Punta Hills Mall to see what the JCPenney used to look like in the parking lot. And at that time, they had a full-scale Doc Brown's van sitting out in the parking lot where it was in the movie. And so
that's great.
I got to go down and look inside the van and take a selfie with that. And then we had an event at Whittier High School, which they actually just opened that up last Saturday for tours for Back to the Future fans. For a day. But so Marty's high school, we got to go on the grounds of that, and and Strickland's house is really right down the street from there, like you see it in the film. I got to go down there, and Oh, I got to go to Doc Brown's house in Pasadena at the Gamble House, and we spent a lot of time there. And so that was, if you ever get a chance to go to some of the filming sites, yeah, I hear that the people who own the McFly house are very kind and patient. I've never gone down there, and so I've never published that address. I don't publish the address of private residences.
Yeah.
So a lot of people go to these places and
not very respectful
yeah,
to
well,
yeah.
some have ruined it for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so but I understand the owners now are very, very kind and generous and will take pictures of you standing in front of their house. And but I don't publish anything like that.
Yeah.
There's other people who do, but I do not. I respect the privacy of all these folks and the actors themselves. I don't publish anybody's home address or any of that kind of stuff. So you find it, you didn't find it from me. So
Absolutely. Well, Steve, we certainly appreciate your time. We've had you for an hour and a half, and I know it's that's it. If you want to go back and see our previous interview, listen to our previous episode from 3 years ago with Steve, you can do so on BamaGeeks.com. All of our past episodes are on there. And Steve, I really hope that we can have you on again.
Sure.
We're definitely going to reach out to Oliver and Terry, maybe around, that October time frame, that whole time travel date as we continue.
Yeah, I think you can expect a lot of things to happen around that time frame this year.
Okay.
Awesome.
That has become the de facto Back to the Future Day. Back in 2015, Obama did declare October 21st, 2015 as Back to the Future Day, and it kind of stuck, and it just Universal continues to have things released and different things come out that year, that time of year every year. And so there's been a lot of arguments from fans. Well, it ought to be November 5th, or it ought to be November 12th, it ought to be October 26th. It shouldn't be a date from part 2 for the anniversary from part 1. But hey, it is what it is. I'm just glad that it gets recognized. And
exactly.
So, but there are some things in the works. So
nice.
Stay tuned. And so once those things are public, you'll read about it on backtothefuture.com.
Absolutely. I was going to say, where can you find that info?
Backtothefuture.com. I think that's it now. And our web store is backtothefuture.store. So we carry only officially licensed collectibles. So that's a separate site for a number of technical reasons. I won't go into here, but it's just easier to have it on a Shopify does things really good. Squarespace does things really good. There's no real company that does both things really good at an affordable hosting rate. So not one that I have found. So.
And then, as Steve, you mentioned earlier, the event that's going to take place in Florence on December the 5th.
It's Florence, Alabama.
Yep.
Florence, Alabama. That's correct.
So that's at Back to the Future. A shortcut to get to that is backtothefuture.events.
Okay.
With the S, and that will roll over to the listing of events. And then we always keep up with the latest news at backtothefuture.news, and that both of those go to the backtothefuture.com site, and just an easier way to get there. But,
fantastic. Definitely make sure you go and support Steve at backtothefuture.com. And Steve, we just love you, man. Thank you for being such a great friend all these years.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being asked back, and
of course.
I hope I didn't ramble too much, but
no, this is good stuff, man.
I like to take this opportunity just to tell everybody who has supported me all these years and supported the series, because you're not supporting me, you're supporting the series. But you support what I do, and I appreciate that. There's a lot of people who will buy directly from our website rather than go to Amazon or some of these other places, and I do really appreciate that. And
that's great.
So we try to keep everything as affordable as possible, and try to keep a wide array of collectibles available. And hey, I know people have a lot of choices on the internet where they do their shopping. If they choose to shop from us, I'm very, very grateful for that. So
that's right.
And you get the special Stephen Clark touch because I'm the one who packs every single order. So,
and believe me when I say he knows our address for sure.
Yes, he does.
But thank you. It's been an honor to be on your show again. And I look forward to the next time whenever you deem it necessary to go to the bottom of the barrel and scrape for a guest.
Oh, please.
So
we go
there.
Cream of the crop right to the top, my man.
Exactly.
But again, visit Steve at it's our pleasure, my friend. Visit Steve at backtothefuture.com and also us, BamaGeeks.com. We've had more than 500 people between YouTube and X, Twitter, watching us tonight. This has been our biggest audience.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much for watching. Go to BamaGeeks.com, learn more about us. This episode will come out in audio form on Wednesday morning. But you can always go to our YouTube channel, which is part of everywhere on social media at Bama Geeks, and rewatch it if you jumped in late. You can also on Facebook join us at our Bama Geeks Front Porch. It's a private group where we share a whole bunch of pop culture and just fun, geeky things. And we really do, because we're Alabama based, we do try to find all the fun things related to pop culture within the state of Alabama. So you can go there and ask to join that group, and we'll accept you. You can come on in. And also thanks again to our long-standing Patreon members, Jamie and Mike and Darnay and Jack. We appreciate all the support all these years. And
make sure you give us a like on this video and comment if there's any Back to the Future comments you'd like to leave in the comment section on this video. If you're catching this maybe after the live stream, or just come back and leave us a comment on what you've watched with us this evening.
We would love to know your favorite Back to the Future memories, and we'll respond to those comments here on the YouTube channel. And if you hit us up on social media, if you listen to this on iTunes or Spotify somewhere, subscribe to us there, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and leave us a rating and comments, and we would absolutely
that's just me.
Okay.
That's just me. I'm thinking the folks on X that watch, and of course advisory there.
Thanks for the podcast. Hey, thank you.
Thanks,
Mike. Appreciate you, man. And again, thank you so much to Steve, and we will see you guys once again in the future. For Bo and for Jess, I'm Brock, and for Kevin, who couldn't join us tonight, and for Steve, thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. See you in the future.